Welcome back to Streamline Entertainment. It is Marvin speaking. We're going to get into a video shortly. And for me, this is the lies, deception, and fabricated stories in the Jay Slater case by Abe, Lucy, Brad, and Brandon, which needs to be brought to light again. There are a lot of sort of podcasts and programs coming up who thinks that this case was still an accident, even though I think they haven't really looked at the characters involved and really looked at the points we have for many, many months, over a year now, into the demise of Jay Slater by his friends and the last people to actually see him as well. Let's get straight into this. I'm just going to break it down.
Later on, like 10 o'clock, 11, I've had a bit of sleep by then. I don't mind moving the car. So, cut the long story short, Mark Powell was sleeping on the passenger. Like, he's pretty much knocked out from the moment he got it.
The thing is, he never ever said who his pal was. He didn't really go into any time whatsoever. And don't forget, this is the confusion king. This is the guy that wants to set up narratives to confuse us. And he doesn't want to have anything to do with this case after the podcast and hope it goes away. This is Abe. So we don't know the condition of Jay. He says he was smiling, and whatever he was on, he came down. He was a little bit could have been a bit paranoid. But like I said, he's never really gone into depth. We never saw any pictures in the Airbnb of Jay. Everything was outside and staged, and it could have been staged over the few days to actually be the part of the setup for Jay. He almost gloats on him knowing everything, although he definitely gets flustered when he's asked questions that he doesn't like.
Got in the car, do you know what I'm saying? And so there was a bit where I was just videoing him and that, just catching a laugh, do you know what I'm saying? And I'm videoing him, just joking about. And then me and Jay get out of the car. Then I'll get to the front of the car and I'm videoing him still, do you know what I'm saying? And then we're just laughing about how he's just bare slumped in the car, like with his seatbelt on, but his head's just like tilted to the left. Do you know what I'm saying? We're just laughing about that. And then I ended up waking him up saying, "Yo, bro, we're back now." And then he's just literally walked in, cut into the house and went straight to bed, do you know what I'm saying? And then Jay followed behind. And then I followed him, do you know what I'm saying? And then I walked in and I said to Jay, basically, I was like, first thing he did ask me was a chop.
Basically, he's not given us any information who's really at the Airbnb. He's talking in codes because, like I said, he doesn't want to let us know. One, it wasn't Rocky there. This is why Rocky was actually brought in at the end of that as a substitute, and I think it was for someone who works alongside Abe, which possibly could have been Jonathan A. It could have been a few people, high-profile criminality people, I think, but I do think that is someone that can get violent at any time. This is what I personally think, and it should be put out there.
Bro, you got a charger. And I went, go into Matey's room. He's got a charger right by the bedside plug, you know what I'm saying? So he's gone in there, grabbed his charger, was sorting it out in the kitchen, wherever. And I was like, bro, that's over there, that's you, innit? I'll go upstairs, I'll grab you a blanket or something. I think the pillows must have been on the sofa already, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the sofa pillows, you know what I'm saying? So I don't think I've got him. I went, yo, bro, that's you. And I remember, I got him a towel. And that's a towel for in the morning when you wake up and grab a shower. That's you, my boy. So I made sure he's sweet. He asked me for CDs. I gave him.
But you got to remember, it was the morning. So why would he have to sort of mention the morning when they got back? It doesn't make sense to me in that the way he's actually talking. once again, there is absolutely no proof by AOP that Jay was actually with him. And don't forget, all this AI stuff and recording, you know, he can make it seem like it was. Why was he blocking out Rocky's picture? That was apparently asleep. That was absolutely fabricated, and that looked really, really strange to me. That would be that basically video had been messed about with to make it look like someone else. Some people said that the skin was lighter, or this person was kind of slimmer, more lean than Rocky, which is possibly true. There's so many questions, but like I said, Wax had asked him for, like I said, obviously video evidence that Jay was okay in the back of the car, and many of the questions which have never been answered by the accident crew or AOP himself.
TVs. And I went upstairs now. You know, just like you're about to go to bed, you're just on your Snapchat, just chatting shit, just before you go to bed, like, you know what I'm saying? And then while that's going on, I can hear him obviously downstairs. Like the door was like a metal door, so you can hear it like whether it's going to creak or make that noise, you know what I'm saying? So I could tell he's going out the door smoking a ciggy and whatnot. And then I don't know at what point I slept, but I do know we come back around 6:30, 6:45. That's what time we were back. And then around 8-ish, before 8, I heard the buzzer. And I was asleep for a good 45 minutes up to an hour by that time anyway. So I heard the buzzer, and then I could hear movement. Obviously, Jay's like woken up, but or I don't know even if he's was he awake since because you got to remember, like, there's only it's only an hour space, you know what I'm saying? So he could have even been awake, you know what I'm saying? Or he could have been going in that could have been the time where he's sleeping nearly, and then he hears the buzzer, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know, but I heard him moving, like, but he didn't open the door. So I just like giggled to myself, like thinking, oh, he's fucking shitting it down there, I bet, like, you know what I'm saying? Why ain't he over the door? You know what I'm saying? So I just ran downstairs, and I was like, yo, G, and he went, oh, bro, that's fucking wigged my head out, that buzzer, you know? And then just for those, like, just a little side note, there are people saying there ain't a buzzer in there. How'd you know? I lived it. Do you know what I'm saying? That.
I'm going to leave it there, people, because obviously, it's, you know, so many people. Well done for totally random news. Do go and subscribe. But like I said, it's difficult to take this guy seriously because, like I said, he's obviously ironed out for what everyone to say and sort of back his story and go with what he said, and he's been the frontliner. But what it is, because I think he's gone a little bit more quiet, even though he's still making videos, he's not letting anybody else speak because they've worked out a lot of the stuff is lies. In what he's said, because like I said, he's lied about the condition of Jay. He's lied about Jay going to the Airbnb and actually being at the Airbnb. There's no proof he was ever there, which is very, very alarming. And it was from the start, and it still is now. Going to move on to part 2. Welcome back to part 2. Lucy was the main key talking to the media. I think she was given that job to actually talk to the media and actually gave the media a narrative to actually go on as though it was gospel. And like I said, as long as she had talked to the media, they were all going to get into the clear, because obviously this was an accident from start to finish. And if they could mask it as well as what they thought they did, no one would be talking about this case. And this is why I think Lucy, being very, very deceptive and cunning, got the early messages out there that basically it was Jay's own fault for his own demise, and basically going off road, walking up to the mountains, and ended up into a ravine.
Spoke to Jay.
Well, it's actually even been long. Within 72 hours now. It was 72 hours at 8:30 this morning, and obviously that's a long time. We're going without food, without water, and I just think with the amount of time that's gone by, I feel like a little bit more could have been done on the authorities' part over here. But But yeah, it's been awful. Honestly, I've never been so worried in my life. Like, it's just the unknown as well. Like, you literally you don't know what's happened. You don't know where he's gone. Like, his last drop in wasn't even on a road. Like, there's a reason he's gone off road, I think. Like, why has he not carried on the path? He's not a stupid boy. Do you know what I mean? Like, he would have stayed on the road. Like, this, it was at 8 a.m. as well. So, well, just after 8 a.m. So that's like the perfect time. It's not cold at night. It's not midday heat. So there's hikers, there's tourists, there's photographers. Like, there's like people around. He's not stupid. He would know to stay on the road, and then he'd walk past someone and say, look, sorry, I'm lost. Like, I understand there's like the language barrier with some people, but someone would have been able to speak English. He would have been able to communicate efficiently to let them know that he had no phone, he had no water, and he was stuck up here. Like, why has he gone off the road? Like, there's unanswered questions, and I feel like they're not. I feel like they are doing some things, but I feel like they could try.
That was Lucy May Law, and she was actually talking to a news reporter there. What she actually done cleverly was put out a marker very, very early that she didn't really know what Jay was doing. But like I said, she's the innocent party who reported everything in the early days to the ITV and many other channels as well, that she told Jay to go back off the road. She gave concern, apparently. She'd put out the alarms that he was missing and that I don't think he was safe. She'd done everything a normal person would do. But when we actually realised that basically a lot of the stuff that what she was saying, she was actually fabricating for someone, came out. And like I said, and she didn't like it. And this is why I think she'd actually start talking to people like Hayley Commenters, because she didn't like the way the narrative was going, that she could technically be lying or involved in that case. Going to move on, basically, because I think the points that Hayley Comment made was crucial. It's part 3, people. I'm not going to play it all, just some of the main points.
And another thing that blows my mind, it was me who rang the police. It was me who rang the British Embassy. It was me who rang the British Consulate. It was me who had the posters made. It was me who made the report. It was me out looking for him for days on end with no sleep and food. It was me who found the house he was at before the police even decided to start investigating. It was me who actually made it so public by posting on TikTok. It was me asking anyone I walked past if they had seen him. It was me who asked at every cafe and bar in the Mascot area, and it was me who had to tell his poor old mum. It was me bawling my eyes out with so many questions as to where he was and what happened, and yet it's still me that's getting all this hate, when all I can think about is where my best friend is, and how we were having the holiday of a lifetime, and now he's not coming home. Begs the question, where was best friend Brad? You all know Jay's missing, and Brad is his best friend. We're like brothers. Were you, Brad? Because the last time I heard, you were a full-bodied teenager who should have loads of energy, that you couldn't even search the mountains once. You can't even put up a poster. And then I say, do you have a call list of that day so I can see that you've called the police, the British Embassy and the consulate? And I said, obviously, block out any other numbers that aren't involved, but just show me the calls you made to the authorities. And she said, I don't anymore. I've had so many spam callers, it's long gone, I deleted it.
So she knew that somewhere along the line, when this case started, this is Lucy, getting out of control, she knew the evidence she had on her phone were crucial to this case. And if found or taken off her phone, like MWT had said, which I don't think that he really had enough, as he said, sort of a download of really about this conversation. I don't think he ever had them. And I think Lucy was told to delete everything, the history of the phone, even get rid of that phone. Because if people found out that the timeline doesn't match up, it will tell us that she's lying, but we think that she's lying anyway. And like I said, she didn't like Hayley Comment asking a lot of questions in the early days because, like I said, because she felt under pressure that the truth may come out. And because before this, Lucy talked to Haley Comer and said, and Lucy said, "Why are you talking about me? I was the one that basically put the alarm out for Jay, because she wanted to convince the whole world that she'd done everything right and nobody should be talking about it or questioning her." But like I said, in that minute and a half of that video, we 100% know that basically she can't, as well as Ahab, can't back anything up, what they've said or what they've done. There's no proof of anything. And this is why we're still on this case 24/7, because like I said, they're all lying. This is a article by The Sun, people, and it was sort of Brad coming out a bit later, sometime in July last year, saying we ain't drug mules. And I think that at the end of the day, when rugs were mentioned in this case, a lot of the people involved got very, very and the accident group got very, very sensitive, because rugs were the topic of conversation. And I do think MWT stumbled on what was big time over there. Let's get straight into this.
Sit back saying we ain't drug mules as conspiracy theories swell amid a fresh update from the missing teen's family. Brad is one of the friends who went on holiday to Tenerife with Jay Slater and described the 19-year-old as his best mate. The pair flew out to the island along with Lucy Law to go to a 3-day NRG music festival. But Brad has since been the target of online abuse by vile social media trolls. He has now slammed baseless conspiracy theories and took to his Instagram saying, "Thinking I'm involved is beyond me. We've been mates for years, came on our first holiday together, and unfortunately this has happened. We ain't drug mules or whatever. People need to know the facts before talking on the internet." Lucy was the last person to speak to Jay before he went missing on June 17th. Jay's heartbroken mum, Debbie Duncan, has issued a fresh update on her son's case. She thanked a local hiking group who have been helping in the search, which was abruptly called off after 2 weeks.
I'm going to leave it there, people. So that was by The Sun. So a lot of people think that Brad and Lucy had set Jay up very, very in the early days, because obviously their affiliation with Tom H. And it was said that Lucy was seeing Tom at one stage as well. And Hammy says in the chat, Brad and Brandon just stood there watching Jay fall about what kind of friends are they? So I think basically they both knew we'd been spiked. I think that they thought that he wouldn't die, probably take a beating, probably have to pay some money back or some compensation to someone that he had problems with back home, I think. And I think the rugs had a lot to do with Jay's demise. I think Brandon knew everything, because he reported it to his mum, "What do I do?" And probably got in a little bit of trouble, thinking that basically he could protect Jay, because he'd realised things have gone too far. And like I said, I do think Lucy, Brad and Abe were protecting Brandon. And like I said, I was told in the early days that Brandon was a major factor in why Jay had passed. Going to move on to the final part, which is Brandon. So we move on to MWT talking, just a short video, people. Brandon talking about Abe and Rocky. The thing is that I think there was a pledge that Abe and Rocky would never talk about Brandon, because like I said, he didn't want anything to do with what happened, I think, even though he was part of Jay's demise. And I think he didn't expect Jay to pass. And this is why I think Brandon wasn't talked about. And his affiliation with basically Rocky. If that had come out that they were close, I think people would have put 2 and 2 together that also he's involved in the demise of Jay Slater. Let's get straight into this.
Know who the 2 black men are.
So let's start with the end point, really, is I need to know who these 2 guys are. The 2 black guys. Yeah. So you went back to the rental with. Who are you?
I don't really know them yet.
Okay.
All I know is, obviously, I've lived in Tenerife for a while, but on and off since I was 17.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so since I've been living there this time, these fellas call down. So obviously I go out for a drink, like any normal girl does. And they come in Chivery sometimes, and this, and I don't know them at all. Like, I've seen them a few times in Chivery.
So tell me what their names are.
Don't know what the names are. Don't know the name. I know one of them named Johnny or something like that. But I don't know the other fella. But I don't even know his name. It begins with R or something like that.
His name begins with R.
Yeah, one of them works in Potter Paper's cock. You know Potter Paper?
Potter's paper.
It's called Potter's Garden. One of them works in there. I've been told somebody go there every so often, like, they don't actually properly live on the island. They go home for 2 weeks and then come back for a week.
Sorry, that made me laugh at that, you know, sort of MWT knowing all the like hip young places at the end of the day. He's thinking, what's that, a garden centre or something? That's what cracked me up there. But like I said, we hear that. One thing I got from Brandon, he doesn't want anything to do with it. He doesn't want to be associated with Rocky, who he said he didn't know. He saw Ayup a few times as he basically, I think he sold Ayup a little bit, that he worked in the cafe there. I think they half blaming each other. And at first, I think they all closed ranks, but I think they're arguing in what's been said or what has to be said. I think Brandon knew that he had to come out and say something. I think when he got back to the UK, I think he was protected by the mum that he was talking to the police. I think he realised how much he was involved. And like I said, if this goes criminal, he could be in some serious, serious trouble. And that means he would have to say that he knows Ayup. So what we've got from Ayup, Lucy, Brad and Brandon, they've fabricated all of their stories. They haven't told us the truth, and they expect the public to buy their stories and not question it. And when they have been questioned, they've got aggressive or they've absolutely run the other way and thinking that they're getting the blame for something. But what we got to understand is why we're here, because Debbie and Warren want questions. If they didn't, this case would be over a long time ago, and no one would be talking about it. This is why it's important that the information which has gone to the court by Duncan, by Ali Harris and myself, is very, very crucial, and many of the other sleuths who's probably sent stuff in as well. This is very, very serious, and I think people are sort of anticipating who's going to turn up and what's going to happen. But what we do know, if you look at the people involved in this case, they're dodgy. They're into rugs. They're into a lot of, extortion, lies, many of the things, and they're all intertwined and know each other. You know, from Lucy, knowing Roman, worked for him before, PP, many big artists that they connected to as well. It goes on and on and on. And one thing I did realise is that there were so many gangs out in Tenerife last year, and it's a recipe for disaster. And if you want anything done out there, you can get it done with so many heavy people out there and connections, and so many people paying off the Guardia Civil as well. And this is why it was a cover-up from day one, and this is why this case is so hard, because like I said, the CCTV from the club leading Jay out to the car, and then basically an altercation happened on the beach, and Jay ended up on the Maruba, where we can blatantly see Ayup, possibly Brad and a few others on that boat. Because like I said, I think that Jay had passed there or was passing, and they knew that they wouldn't be able to revive him. And if he was found with rugs in his system outside the club, the police, the hospital would have actually got involved, and actually his friends would have actually explained more. And this is why I think the story was fabricated so much that he went to the mountains. And obviously one of the biggest questions, yes, we've heard Ophelia lies. We've heard what Abe has to say, lies. We, you know, the other family members didn't say anything, but why didn't any other independent witness see Jay? It didn't make sense. And why would he walk when he doesn't even like walking, which is mentioned by many sleuths? We can go around in circles here, but one thing I do believe, and honestly with my whole heart, looking into this case at the end of the day, I think a lot of people involved, accident crew, people involved in Jay's demise, in setting him up, they all think that we were fools and would buy their stories, but we never did. And like I said, when you see like basically documentaries or podcasts basically saying, well, the evidence is there. Any bit of evidence could be covered up if you've got the right load of money. You know, you've got money at the end of the day. And one other thing is that these people, we've now sort of put them out on the map so people actually know who they are. So whether they basically think we're in the clear and that basically Debbie and Warren are finally going to accept what happened to Jay, but they still want to question basically Abe, Rocky, maybe Lucy, maybe Brad, maybe Brandon, again, to actually get the truth. It's going to be interesting to actually turns up. But like I said, it's clear to see from the 4 people I've mentioned that there's something drastically wrong in what they've said, and they're definitely covering up something. Don't forget to subscribe to Streamline Entertainment and Streamline Investigations. And like I said, we battle on for justice for Jay Slater.